Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, deep breath. Yeah, you want a minute? Okay. This is me. Wasn't that an exciting pre-meeting? That was just thrilling, wasn't it?
That house, like, well, I've only ever done, like, watch the videos,
We got the full experience. Sure. Good to learn.
President Duncan, it is 7 o'clock.
Okay. Sherry, can you do the honors? It is now 7:00 p.m. and I will call the meeting to order. May I please get a roll call?
Roll call shows all counselors are present.
Can everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing as we take a moment of silence to recognize the victims, friends, and families of the school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee that took place last week. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. 3A is State of the City Address by Council President Regina Duncan.
Good evening, councilors, city manager, city staff, and our entire Beloit community. As City Council President, it is my distinct honor to give this year's State of the City Address. Today, we celebrate the power of community and how it can bring about positive change. When we look back on 2022, we've seen our community come together and work towards common goals. When we do so, we can achieve great things that would have been impossible for one person alone. In 2022, there is no greater example of all of us working together than the work that we have done in establishing the city's ARPA funding programs. We have spent countless hours hearing from the community, debating priorities, and collaborating together to determine how best to spend these funds. We prioritized initiatives that reflect the values of our community, initiatives that prioritize compassion, empathy, kindness, and care for those in need. ARPA dollars will help us fund programs that will provide shelter, food, and basic necessities for those who are struggling to make ends meet. But beyond the practical support, the ARPA program offers something even more powerful. It provides hope, dignity, and a sense of belonging to those who've been marginalized and forgotten by society. It reminds us that every human being deserves to be treated with kindness and respect, and that we all have a role to play in building a better Beloit. For that, we should all be proud. Our strategic goals are something that we have historically discussed during the State of the City Address, and tonight I will continue that tradition. As we look back on 2022, we can see a city that has come together to make incredible progress to achieve great success. Safe and healthy neighborhoods are important to our community. The Beloit Police Department has recently reported that over the last year, various forms of criminal behavior have reduced significantly. Reduced crime rates are something that we can be proud of. It shows that we are a community that cares about each other and that we are willing to work together. Let us continue to build on this success and strive to make our city a safer and more prosperous place for all our residents and visitors. Beloit will also continue to invest in our neighborhoods through the use of CDBG funds. In 2022, CDBG funded many of our local nonprofit partner programs, including funds for job training, literacy programs, housing assistance, and cleanup events in both of our Hackett and Merrill neighborhoods, to name just a few. These programs are important to the residents of our community. Economic development and growth are vital to a community's success. We have a thriving economy that is supported by a diverse range of industries, including manufacturing, healthcare, and education. Through our strategic investments and partnerships with local businesses, we've seen a steady increase in job creation and economic growth. We have worked diligently to attract new businesses and retain our existing ones, resulting in the capital investment of $98 million and the creation of nearly 100 new jobs. One of the highlights of 2022 that I would like to point out is the closure of several TIF districts, including the Gateway Business Park, which led to significant property tax relief in 2023 for our residents. The city has also been fortunate to receive several federal and state grants, which will provide us the assistance necessary to meet the needs for our future growth and development. A high quality of life outside of work is crucial to our overall health and well-being. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind of work and forget about taking time for ourselves. We are proud to celebrate all that Beloit has to offer our families, including quality park and playground facilities and outstanding recreation and educational opportunities. We have set aside ARPA dollars to reinvigorate our programs and facilities. We are also partnering with our local nonprofit agencies to creatively engage with our youth and seniors. Let us celebrate our staff who have contributed to our success as a high-performing organization. Our staff worked hard to move the city forward, despite the many challenges facing local governments today. Staffing issues and budget limitations plague nearly every employer, but our staff have remained resilient during these tough times, and we are truly grateful for their efforts. Thanks to each and every one of you for your hard work, dedication, and commitment to making our community a better place. We are committed to focusing on ways to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion within all of our departments. Over the last year, all city staff have participated in training opportunities to learn how to create and foster a welcoming and inclusive workplace, regardless of race, gender, or background. We strive to maintain an inclusive workplace culture by promoting open communication, encouraging diversity of thought, and valuing different perspectives. Another top priority for our city is to engage with staff and provide resources to allow growth and opportunities for the future. Continuing to make these investments in our staff will help us accomplish the city's mission, which is to provide outstanding public service. In 2022, our City Council allocated ARPA dollars to invest in our high-quality infrastructure by funding vital improvements to programs that will assist in addressing lead service lines and substandard water lines. These dollars, along with the wastewater treatment plant project, will ensure that we're ready to serve our community for years to come in a more sustainable manner. We have also set aside TIF housing funds to encourage, promote, and support residential housing development in our Beloit community. These efforts will supplement the $4 million investment made in residential housing projects. We have a number of exciting opportunities that lie ahead for us. Beloit continues to value community engagement, which is critical to our success. Volunteerism on city boards, committees, and commissions keeps our government functioning. We are so grateful to the nearly 100 volunteers that serve on these committees every day. Your work has not gone unnoticed, and we appreciate you. In 2022, we had a unique opportunity to showcase the city of Beloit to the rest of the world through the christening of the USS Beloit. We are thankful to Fairbanks Morris Defense, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Major General Marsha Anderson, the United States Navy, and all those who are a part of honoring our community with this recognition. We are incredibly fortunate to have this prestigious honor. Beloit's accomplishments have positioned the city for continued growth and success in the years to come. Along with our new city manager, we will face new challenges, but we will also find ways to work together and make progress. Let us celebrate this wonderful city that we're proud to call home and renew our commitment to making Beloit an even better place to live, work, and play.
Item 3B is Proclamation 2023-011, recognizing Roy Chapman Andrews Day.
At this time, Vice President Forbeck will read the proclamation.
Whereas Roy Chapman Andrews devoted his childhood in Beloit, Wisconsin, to a tireless pursuit of knowledge about the natural world, and whereas Roy Chapman Andrews secured his formal education through Beloit schools, culminating in his graduation from Beloit College in 1906, and whereas Roy Chapman Andrews used his studies from Beloit to pursue his passion, becoming a world-famous explorer for the American Museum of Natural History, and during a series of daring expeditions to the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, he discovered new species of animals, including previously unknown dinosaurs, the first nests of dinosaur eggs, and fossils of mammals that lived alongside dinosaurs. And whereas the accomplishments of Roy Chapman Andrews continue to gain new attention and recognition today, both locally and nationally, through the efforts of the Roy Chapman Andrews Society of Beloit, and whereas the legacy of Roy Chapman Andrews will be celebrated on Friday, April 14th, 2023, when the Roy Chapman Andrews Society bestows its Distinguished Explorer Award on Dr. Sarah Stewart Johnson, a planetary scientist, astronomer, biologist, and geochemist whose research is driven by the goal of understanding the presence and preservation of biosignatures within planetary environments. Whatever that means. Now, therefore, the President of the Beloit City Council does hereby declare that Friday, April 14th, 2023, be proclaimed Roy Chapman Andrews Day in the city of Beloit to honor visiting explorer Dr. Sarah Stewart Johnson and to recognize the achievements of one of Beloit's most famous native sons, adopted this third day of April, 2023.
You are
Thank you so
good.
much.
Can you just introduce yourself and just give us a few words?
Sure, Greg
Thank you.
Gerard. I'm the newest board member with Roy Chapman Andrews Society. It's actually the first board I was invited to be on. So it's exciting for me to be part of this, and what a great group of people, and what a great legacy the Roy Chapman Andrews whole story is, right?
Yes,
And so we're excited to meet Sarah and to learn something, to come up to the library on the 14th in the afternoon, 4:30. We're going to have a wonderful presentation, and she will be there to speak and educate us. And then, are there still tickets left for the dinner? There are, yeah. So go to the Roy Chapman Andrews website, and you can order some tickets. We have a lovely dinner afterwards with Sarah up at the Beloit Club. So we'd like to see all of you there, either one place, the other, or both. All right, thank you so much for this.
And thank you.
You mind if I know something to that? I believe the iconic Indiana Jones was portrayed by Roy Chapman Andrews. played by Harrison Ford. So I just kind of want to throw that out there to the public if nobody knew that. It's kind of cool to know for people who didn't know that.
It's,
hated snakes.
yeah. Also, years ago when this was first starting, we got some of the memorabilia that he had, and
wow.
he had a pistol with notches on it to show all the bandits, evidently, that had ended their way trying to bother him. So there really are a lot of similarities. So
And how
that's a great
fortunate
thing.
are we to have the society right here in
I know.
Beloit. So thank you for what you and the board, what you all are doing. Much appreciated. Thank you for being here.
3C is Proclamation 2023-014, recognizing Fair Housing Month.
Whereas April 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of the National Fair Housing Law, Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and therefore it is an appropriate time for all citizens to reflect on the principles which led to a national policy of fair and equal housing opportunities across the United States. And whereas fair and equal opportunity in housing means that persons of equal income have the same access to the sale, rental, and financing of all housing regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, family status, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, or ancestry. And whereas fair housing is the policy of the City of Beloit, and the implementation of that policy requires the positive commitment, involvement, and support of each of our citizens. Now therefore be it resolved that the Beloit City Council does hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Fair Housing Month, and does hereby encourage all citizens to abide by the letter and spirit of the fair housing laws, and asks the citizens of the city to join in reaffirming the obligation and commitment to fair housing opportunities for all, adopted this third day of April 2023. And our wonderful staff person to our Equal Opportunities Commission, Julie, will say a word or two.
Wonderful.
Thank you, and Terry had hoped to be here tonight, but she's a little under the weather. So we will make sure we share this with the Equal Opportunities Commission, who is the board that Nancy is on, as a part of, that really is tasked with kind of doing fair housing and working on implementation of the analysis of impediments to fair housing, which helps to ensure that people do have access to fair housing. So thank you so much for the proclamation.
Thanks, Julie.
Excellent, excellent.
Item 4 is public hearings. There are none. Item 5 is public comments.
We have reached the point on the agenda for residents to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you please hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Public comment is a courtesy, and we expect everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form. Madam Clerk, were there any public comment forms submitted prior to our meeting?
Yep, we will start with Mary in Range Wenger. I hope I said that right.
If you can come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Mary Range Winger, 1729 Sherland, Beloit, Wisconsin. I'm here to address the board on a guardianship that I acquired for my mother in 2017. My mother has dementia. I'm working with my mother with no medicine. The first thing that I want to address is that our wires were dug up from the house out on our lot by a Carol Cole. She did not have a survey, and she didn't have the land surveyed, or she didn't have a permit. The electricity was knocked out 2 hours, and then she cracked a sewer line in the basement, and black dirt and water ran up out of there. When I address the board, I get intimidated. Explosives are thrown in my driveway. I'm followed, beg your pardon, by white folks, and these are older people, okay? The next thing, when I asked to have gutters on the house, I've been asking for 3 years. No gutters have been put on the house. Water is starting to, when it melts down, it comes down through the roof to a drain pipe that runs downstairs. Every time you ask them for something, this what happens. You intimidate it, and it's just getting to be too much. And the third thing, Makoa Marzette's there. He's 24 years old, mental problems. Oh, it has gotten bad. He's bringing weapons to the house. I confiscated all the weapons out of the house in 2017. And now he just recently, a couple months ago, brought a butcher knife into the house, which he didn't buy from the store. I got the butcher knife. Next thing you know, he brings a steak knife into the house. He curses at my mother. He slams the doors. She can't say nothing to him. Clothes piled all over. My mother is scared of him. When Jenny Dawkins come to the house in January, she asked my mother, did she want him there? My mother didn't say nothing. Okay. They come there because people were calling saying wasn't no food in the house. Well, it wasn't my fault. Wasn't none of our fault no food was in the house. Jenny Dawkins had the card for a month and a half. My mother didn't have any food. When the supervisor called down there, yes, she had the card, and then she had the list of food. Still food didn't come into the house until February 1st for my mother, but we all provide for her. Her cars, she had 2 cars. One of them my mother paid $30,000 for. She had put it in the shop. I told Mom, don't do it, wait. So when the car got finished, they wouldn't go get the car. They come out there, laughed at me and mocked me about my mother's car. She had another car, a Buick. Don't know where. I had to track my mother's car because her granddaughter had took it off. I tracked the car. Then I told them where I believe the car had went to. When they got the car, don't know where it went to. When you ask them about these things, I get attacked. And I'm just asking that you all talk to these people, bring them to, try to get into their mind and find out why these attacks are being brought on me and my mother for wanting repairs done to the house. The money is there, and it's about time that this matter be taken care of. I ask y'all for a meeting so that we can get a resolution to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, for coming to give input on that today. But a staff, it seems like it was a myriad of things. I know you talked about a few issues, so there'll be a staff person to work with you to get you to the resources that you may need to get to, okay?
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other members of the public?
Chelsea Winmoller-Schmidt.
Good evening, council members. On February 24th, I reached out concerning No Mo May. I would like to speak tonight on my continued, I need to say my name
Your name and address.
Yeah. Sorry. That's okay. Hi, I'm Chelsea Winmuller-Schmidt. I live at 720 Bluff Street here in Beloit. So I'll start over. Good evening. On February 24th, I reached out concerning No Mo May. I would like to speak tonight on my continued support for this practice. This is a common event that occurs in many other communities like Madison, Monona, Appleton, and Oregon. Bees are an important part of our food supply and allowing community members to let their lawns and spring flowers grow throughout May provides them with an important early food source that attracts them to the area. This is a small change that could be implemented to make our city more sustainable and ecological. Studies done have shown an increase of native bees in cities that participate in No Mo May. When we think bees, we often think of the common honeybee, but the bees, butterflies, moths, and other insects native to Wisconsin do a significantly better job at pollinating. These creatures rely on spring flowers to get through the season before things have really started to bloom. While planting native plants is the best choice to be able to attract them, No Mo May is a simple solution that many residents in Beloit can participate in that requires no additional cost to them. It's a simple way to build community while also helping to be a better partner in the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment forums? Are there any members of the public who did not sign up that wish to address the council this evening? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I submitted 2 comments. Maybe I did not do it properly, but I'm here to speak on behalf of my mother, Linda Wallace, and myself, Willow Wallace. So I will speak my mother's comment first, and this is on the topic of no mow May. My mother, Linda Wallace, lives at 940 Oak Street in Beloit. If you build it, they will come. In this case, that means when you plant gardens rich in native wildflowers and grasses, an oasis for pollinators is created. Pollinators provide 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat. Worldwide, plants are grown for food, beverages, spices, and medicines. Animals must pollinate all of these plants. Pollinators of all kinds find refuge in native wildflower gardens. We can be part of the solution by creating sanctuaries for pollinators. No mow May is an important part of supporting our pollinator population. Leaving early spring wildflowers and grasses long and uncut provides food and shelter for pollinators. We can all be a part of the solution by doing several simple things. Eliminate pesticide use, grow native plants, shrubs, and trees on your property, create protected areas out of the wind, provide water or moist sand, salt, and mineral licks, participate in No Mow May. Respectfully submitted by Linda Wallace. And my comment, hi, my name is Willow Wallace. I live at 1220 Evergreen Avenue in Beloit, Wisconsin. 2 years ago, my husband and I bought a beautiful house here in Beloit. We are in support of the No Mow May conservation effort to support bees and other pollinators. Our futures are forever tied with these little creatures. Please approve of the ordinance modification to allow long grasses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who did not sign up? You may come forward. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Dave Hansen. I'm a lieutenant with the fire department and president of Local 583, which is the firefighter union that represents the fire department. I'm here today to invite the councilors to a fire ops. Fire ops is put on by the PFFW. It's being held in May this year, May 24th. It's an all-day event. In that day, we will be doing live fire activities, putting people inside burning buildings, extrication with vehicles, medical simulations, things like that to have decision makers gain some experience in the job that we do. I've already spoke with Jerry, the new city manager, and he's on board with doing this. He'll be going up with me that day. In this invite, at the bottom, I have my contact information. If members are interested, please contact me and let me know so I can arrange for travel and to make sure we have members available so we can do a 1-to-1 ratio as far as counselors and members. So with that, if I can, I'll pass these out to you
Sure,
guys.
you can pass them out to us.
Very good.
Sure. Thank you for coming and thank you for the invitation.
Sorry for the tardiness. Kind of been running around.
No, it's okay. I've heard a lot of silence.
Thank you.
I'm not supposed to say that. Thank you very much.
Say it again? What date? May 24th. It'll be an all-day event.
Thank you.
You can carpool with me if you want.
And then I want to go back. We had some people who also spoke tonight about the No Mow May, just to let you know that tonight is the first reading, so we'll still be getting input and that kind of thing. So just so you're aware of that while you're waiting. Okay. Thank you. And I'll turn it back over to our clerk.
I'm going to read the email.
Oh, were there any public comments submitted via email?
Yeah. Okay. So, from Lucas Bloom, hello, I live in town of Beloit, but wanted to let you know I wholeheartedly support this initiative, if only in hopes that if Beloit sets the trend, we may consider similar ordinances in the township in the future. A step to support wild growing and pollinators will be a good step for the biodiversity of our green spaces in the city. To me, this seems like a great idea at the cost to the city would be minimal versus the effect. Having the lawns grow naturally for a period of time and the signs may spread awareness to neighbors who are not participating to rethink what might be considered routine lawn care that might actually be abandoned for a more eco-friendly alternative. Thank you for considering this, Luke. Hi, I'm writing in support of No Mow May. It's been proven that mowing less helps everything. Less noise and gas pollution is better for everything from the bees to the birds to crickets to humans. Allowing grasses to be longer than 2 inches conserves water. Cutting when lawns hit 3 to 4 inches continues to conserve water, especially in the heat of the summer and in droughts, and allows tiny flowers to pop into the lawn. Think short, beautiful clovers that feed bees and rabbits. In May, many bees and other pollinators are just waking from hibernation. They need the wildfire flowers and other food items. Most are mowing down because we are lawfully required to do so. Did you know that most people mow and remove all firefly habitats from their yard? Mowing when grass is longer creates no problems. There isn't even a need for yard waste removal when grass is allowed to grow longer. People simply need to leave the grass where it is mowed, and it becomes nitrogen for more grass and an even healthier yard. Most people add fertilizer to their yards. Anyway, this is fertilizer free. It helps conserve water by providing a natural mulch. If they are concerned about clumps, they can mow over it a second time. Please consider No Mow May. It's important for all of us. Thank you, Danielle Sodner. On behalf,
Madam Clerk, Treasurer, could you read Danielle's address as well? For the
she did
record?
not provide it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Christina Belling, I am in favor of the idea. No address given. Thomas Mytok, 2710 North Butland Drive. I had read that the city of Beloit is thinking of making May as a no-mow month. I empathetically say no. That would create a lot of unnecessary work as far as mowing and trimming. Probably having to go over lawn a couple of times and then having to get rid of the lawn waste. We have flowers and growth around perimeters of our house, which has plenty of bees and insects for pollination. Plus, we think it would look terrible. Not sure if this is the avenue to post opposition, but here it is. Thank you. Ashley Phoenix, 1756 Chapman Avenue. Hello, I'm writing to let the council know that I am very much in favor of implementing No Mow May in Beloit. Thank you. Gudrun Hayes, in principle, not a bad idea to have a No Mow May, but why so complicated? Having ordinances and applications and signs seem complete overkill and adds unnecessary bureaucratic effort. Why not just put out a public notice that in the month of May, there'll be no fines or citations issued for unwanted mowed lawns to encourage pollinators? Problem solved. And for another initiative, why not encourage all Beloit residents with yards to plant a garden? It doesn't have to be as big as ours. Thank you. Christine Kurt Hadrich. Yes, I would like to see Beloit adopt the environmental friendly practice of limiting mowing during the month of May to support early season pollinators and reduce pollination from gas mowers and trimmers during the month. Thank you for considering this proposal. Judy Rasmussen, I am in favor of No Mow May. And we have Patricia Pickering, 2506 Iva Court. I don't believe that the city should be promoting No Mow May. There are ways too many people that already don't take care of their yard, and our city looks very rundown as it is. The city council needs to promote more of a take a pride in your yard and home and start enforcing the ordinances we have on the books now. Besides, there will be people that won't be taking care of their yards in April, so everyone that chooses to do this, not because they are interested in the bee pollination, but just so they don't have to mow, will have a bigger eyesore. Right now, I have to look out my front yard and see several huge limbs laying in the yard across the street, along with reupholstered furniture sitting outside. The city is getting really run down. I say no, it doesn't change anything, and there'll be plenty of dandelions for the bees. J.J. Liu, I support No Mow May to support pollinators and our environment. Jenny Hoople, 1300 Strong Avenue. I am highly in favor of passing a no mow May ordinance, but I ask council to take it one step further. Pollinators need more nutritious food and complex habitat. We need more prairie plantings in public parks. Strong Park is the perfect candidate. It's so close to Todd's school to use for outdoor classroom possibilities, and it's a favorite spot for the neighborhood walks. The mature burr trees already present make it an ideal spot for an oak savanna prairie with a path down the middle, and then the city can stop paying to have it mowed all the time. Thank you so much for making a difference. Jenny, also from 1300 Strong Avenue, submitted a letter. Hi, my name is Jenny Hoopel. I am a longtime resident and now business owner in the city of Beloit. Both my home and storefront, Bountiful Beloit, are in the neighborhood adjacent to the potential road changes which studies are being made for on Highway 81, Park Avenue, and White Avenue. And I am concerned about potential loss of mature trees associated with these and other city projects. I would like to ask the city conduct environmental impact studies for all developmental projects approved by City Council. We need to protect our mature terrace trees to minimize efforts of heat islands and illness and deaths from overheating in our city, especially in the poorer neighborhoods, especially as the effects of climate change ramp up. We need mature trees to improve walkability and attract new residents to our city. I'd also like to ask, what is our current replacement plan for mature trees lost? The target replacement rate should be at least 2 to 1 to compensate for the loss of mature trees. Thank you for your time in taking public comment. John Peterson, I totally would love to see a no-mow April. It helps grass establish good rooting and the beginning of flowering for low flowers, thus assisting bees to pollinate the world. Also, it lowers the yearly emission from lawn equipment used, while also seeing new plants generate oxygen. We all breathe better in the end. Please allow the no-mow April, is what he said. Brittany Keys. This is Brittany Keys, Beloit resident, local healthcare provider, and former city councilor, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment this evening. My comment will highlight 3 different things. First, appreciation for all of the city's staff's work with engaging the public regarding the upcoming street projects and well as community cleanup efforts following the recent storms. It was clear at the last Highway 81 meeting that public input was considered and heavily waived as the consultant developed their recommendation, and that was greatly appreciated. We also are experiencing an uptick in severe weather resulting in a lot of tree damage, and the Department of Public Works has worked very hard to help the community clean up each time. This too is greatly appreciated. Second, I want to verbalize my support for No Mow May. This is an exciting and promising step for the community as a whole to support the recovery of our plummeting pollinator populations. I also want to encourage the review of the city ordinance that limits residents' ability to transition from turf lawn to native plants. I also ask for the city to consider stopping the use of pesticides and herbicides beyond noxious invasives, to evaluate which parks and green spaces could be transitions to prairie, and consider pursuing the designation of a bee city. We are part of the greater ecosystem, and if we do not support the life at the bottom, our health and success will falter as well. Finally, it has been just over 2 years since the city of Beloit proclaimed intention to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. Unfortunately, during my time on council, we were never allowed the opportunity to discuss the content of this proclamation in the public forum. And while there has always been a patchwork approach to sustainability, there has been no comprehensive review or planning effort. Also during that time, IPCC continues to report a dire reality and future if we continue with our dependency on fossil fuels. While this is a global problem, we need to look at it and act locally. There is hope and action in every effort we can make to decrease current and future emissions, as well as heal the natural habitat, will foster hope and healing for a better future. Therefore, I end my comment with an ask for the development of a city public ad hoc committee tasked with the development of a climate action plan that could be presented to the City Council for consideration in setting direction and reasonable action steps to achieve the goal we set 2 years ago. Again, I thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Brittany Keys. Dear City of Beloit Council members, I am writing on behalf of the organization I lead, Welty Environmental Center, to support proposed changes to the Code of General Ordinances to introduce a No Mow May initiative. In the summer of 2022, Welty partnered with the Department of Public Works to develop a land management plan to reduce the amount of mowing done in Big Hill Park. Grasses and prairie forbs were allowed to grow from May to mid-August in open field areas. Just trails and lawns adjacent to Big Hill Center were mowed during the growing season. This practice had numerous benefits, both economic and environmental. Less money was spent on labor and fuel. Grasses were able to reseed the fields, promoting thicker, healthier growth. Pollinators had more food resources and wildlife greater habitat options. Fewer invasive species could establish a presence. The ground held more moisture and more nitrogen was fixed in root systems to fertilize the soil. These are benefits that residents will enjoy in their yards, even if they only refrain from mowing during the spring months. Please approve this amendment to the city ordinances. Welty is glad to partner with the city to promote best practices around No Mow May and help implement this pro-pollinator initiative. Thank you for considering my request. Best regards, Brenda Plankins, Executive Director, Welty Environmental Center. And that was it.
Thank you. And I believe that Beth, were you keeping a tally of that? How many were opposed and how many were in favor? Do you know?
My count was 14 in favor and 2 opposed.
14 in favor and how many opposed? 2. Okay, 2 opposed. Thank you, so noted. At this time, public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which events the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any counselor like anything removed from the consent agenda? May I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 6A through 6I? Moved by Counselor Terrell. Is there a second? Second by Vice President Forbeck. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
7 is licenses. There are none. 8 is ordinances. 8A is consideration of ordinance number 3785 to create section 31.03 sub 2G of the Code of the General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to neighborhood impact surveys for alcohol beverage license applications. Second reading.
At this time, Beth Krieger will present.
It's a second reading. We generally don't present, so I don't have anything addition unless anyone has any questions.
Okay. And we'll go ahead then. This is a second reading of this ordinance. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
I so move.
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Terrell. Are there any questions or discussion? At this time, we have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
8B is consideration of ordinance number 3782, establishing stop signs on Sarah Lane at Rachel Terrace. Second reading.
This is a second reading of this ordinance. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
I so move.
Moved by Counselor Blakely, seconded by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any further questions or discussion? At this time, there's a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
8C is consideration of ordinance number 3783, prohibiting parking on Wisconsin Avenue at Emerson Street. Second reading. Traffic Review Committee unanimously recommended denial of the proposed ordinance.
This is a second reading of an ordinance. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
I so move.
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second? Second. Second by Counselor Anderson. Are there any questions or discussion? Before we go there, can I please have Beth Krieger to clarify the vote at this time?
Sure. Given the negative recommendation from the Traffic Review Committee, just as a reminder, a motion of yay is voting in favor of the ordinance, and a motion for nay is you're opposed to the ordinance and you do not wish to see it passed.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, there is a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The motion fails.
8D is consideration of ordinance 3784, prohibiting parking on Bushnell Street at Central Avenue, second reading. Traffic Review Committee unanimously recommended denial of the proposed ordinance.
At this time, this is the second reading of an ordinance. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Terrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion? And I believe we had clarification.
This is would be the same advice I gave on the last ordinance. A vote of aye is voting in favor of it. A vote of nay, you're opposed to the ordinance.
Thank you for that clarification. At this time, there's a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The motion fails.
8E is consideration of ordinance number 3787, amending section 7.235, sub 6 of the Code of General Ordinances for the city of Beloit related to weeds and grasses.
City Attorney Krieger will present.
No Mow May is a conservation initiative that encourages people to stop mowing or mow less often during the month of May to create a habitat and provide resources for bees and other early season pollinators. This is particularly important in urban areas where floral resources are often limited. The City Council requested that a draft ordinance be prepared in order for them to consider the request and solicit feedback from the community. The draft ordinance adds an exemption to the city's long grass ordinance that prohibits grasses and weeds to exceed 8 inches on average. Program participants must still not permit grasses or weeds to grow in excess of 12 inches. To participate in the program, residents must register with the city and post a city-issued sign in their yard that indicates a property is a No Mow May program participant. The draft ordinance will sunset on November 1 of 2023 unless the program is further extended by council action. This will allow the city to evaluate whether to continue the practice after 2023. I stand ready to answer any questions. This is on for first reading only this evening.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to lay this ordinance over for a second reading?
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Blakely, seconded by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion? And
Gina?
I'll go with Counselor Blakely, then Vice President Forbeck, and then Counselor Levy. So if you can begin, Counselor Blakely.
Thanks for asking, but I was only calling your attention to Counselor Levy.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right, Counselor. I think it was,
Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
yeah. So let's go to Vice President Forbeck, because she was right next to you. So Vice President Forbeck, and then Counselor Levy, if that's okay.
That's okay. I yield my time to Counselor Levy.
Wow, I got a lot of time for this.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Wow.
That was very professionally done, Vice President Forbeck.
Thank you, Council Forbeck and Madam President. I was just wondering, and I'll ask this question of our city attorney. If we're talking just No Mow May, why would we end this at the end of May versus carrying it out through November?
I drafted the ordinance with the weed season in mind, and that ends on November 1. So if the council were wishing to have the exemption cease earlier, we can insert a different date if you would like.
Okay, I mean, so procedurally, I know this is the first reading. Should I wait for the second reading, or can we put the date at the end of May or even June 1st, sunset on June 1st as a date? Can we put that in there now, or has a substitute?
I can prepare a substitute amendment if that's the consensus of the council. We can proceed with moving that date up from the November 1 date that's currently in the draft ordinance.
Okay, so then procedurally, again, was that something that we would need to vote on right now, just see if the rest of the council would like that? Because I would hate for you to do it just for me, and then it comes up and it gets voted down. So,
Sure, I think just maybe a nodding of heads if people were interested in at least seeing that substitute amendment. That would give us some direction on, but a formal vote would not be necessary.
Okay. Can I see the nods? I know I'm in favor. Okay. It looks like we have that. So if you could put that in for the next meeting, that'd be great in that ordinance.
Okay, and to clarify, Councilor Levy, you're looking for a June 1st sunset for the ordinance?
I would say, yeah. Yeah, I would say June 1st.
Okay.
Thanks.
Are there any other comments or questions? Counselor Anderson.
Thank you. I'm actually really excited that we're doing this. I just had a couple questions reading through this. So hypothetically, as much as we want to think that every resident is paying attention to the registration part of it or getting the sign, we know that there's going to be residents that are going to participate but don't register their property. What happens to those residents who might get a warning or a citation, but were actually participating in No Mow May and didn't know? Are we going to perform some leniency? Are we going to cite them? I'm just curious what's going to happen to them.
So the general practice when the inspectors get a complaint regarding long grass at a property is that we are required to issue a letter warning them of the potential ordinance violation if the grass still remains long. And so if someone has not notified or registered their property with the city or posting the sign, they would be in violation of that exemption. If they were to get a letter, they could contact the inspector that sent them the letter, and they can inform them of the No Mow May registration requirement if they'd like to participate, and they could register at that point if that's something that they desired to do. So citations don't get issued automatically. There is a warning requirement built into the code that gives someone a chance to remedy the issue before a citation is issued.
And then just last question. I know it says permit weeds or grasses to exceed 12 inches. Is that an average on that property, or is it like if part of my yard's getting a little long, is that going to be out of compliance?
It's 12 inches on average, like the 8-inch on average standard. It's a interesting argument in a court of law if you ever want to hear about a story.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure it is. I just want to double check. That ends my questions. I'm very excited about this.
Any other questions or discussion? I just had a couple. Go ahead, Counselor Levy. I didn't have a question. I know this is coming back because I'm sure we can, we'll have a lot more conversation with this and discussion on this. But I just want to say to staff, I really appreciate the staff report that was in our packets. And I appreciate all the input that we received because we did solicit input from the public, and everything that we do as a council, we want to make sure that the public is aware and that they're involved and that they want or don't want something in the community. That's what we are here for. We're elected to be your voice. So we are listening. So we appreciate all the input we received, and counselors will keep this in mind at the next meeting. Okay. So with that said, this is a first reading. There is a motion and a second to lay this ordinance over for a second reading. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 9 is appointments. There are none. Item 10 is counselor activities and upcoming events.
We'll start with Counselor Blakely.
Thank you, President Duncan. I had a chance to be in the crowd honoring some of our city heroes at the firefighters' badge ceremony at the main fire station on Church Street. Fire Chief Daniel Pease manned the main mic mightily. You did a good job, and it was a wonderful occasion. The meeting area was crowded with friends, family, and other well-wishers, including Beloit City Council VP Nancy Forbeck and Councilor Kevin Day. Another event was at ABC Supply Stadium on March 21st. There, I helped celebrate the Sky Carp's Copa identity unveiling, and I got to meet and be showered happily by confetti, although it was very shocking at the time, and my heart was palpitating strongly. There were a lot of people, state line residents, who attended the celebration, including people from across the border in Illinois. I just want to mention that reps from the Rockford Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce helped liven up the event, especially on the dance floor. There was a dance teacher among them, I mean. Last week, I attended 2 fascinating talks held by the Society for Learning Unlimited, which is a nonprofit group that holds its classes open to the public in the finished basement of the First Congregational Church across from Horace White Park. I attended 2 classes last week. They're only $7 a piece, so it's a relatively small fee. Danielle Clifton and her husband Sean Laughlin spoke about the challenges in one talk facing amputees and how society is changing its attitude toward people who have lost a limb. That was based on personal experience. On another day, Dr. Ian Nee, founder and director of the Turtle Creek Chamber Orchestra, spoke about the history of the group. He brought along Zachary Peterson, his concertmaster, and an expert violinist who entertained the audience with some short pieces. So please check out Turtle Creek Chamber Orchestra's Facebook page for some exciting musical events that are coming up soon. You can get, Friday, Greg Girard, who's no longer here, is going to start a 4-part series on Biff on the Beloit International Film Festival, sharing some of the films people might have missed. And that is at 9:30 to 11:30, starting this Friday. You can get the full SLU schedule by either phone at 608-207-3400, or you can email slu@beloit.edu. One other thing going on at Beloit Public Library, since this is National Poetry Month, is the library is holding a Find a Poem contest to be entered into a prize drawing. So the library will be hiding poems from many different poets throughout the library. They did not ask me, but I might just stick one in a book somewhere. I think that would be a good thing to do. The poems won't be hard to find. They'll just be scattered in random places for anyone to find and enjoy. I just want to say, to quote a favorite poet of mine, Edna St. Vincent Millay, "My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night, but my foes, and my friends, it gives a lovely light." Be sure to vote tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Blakely. Next, Vice President Forbeck.
Well, just quickly, I just want to compliment an organization of the city. It's called SLATS, and it is chaired by city staff TJ Nee. And this is where we're complicated here in our small town. We have 2 states, 2 counties, multiple townships, various cities and villages, all working together to talk about especially transportation, our streets, our sidewalks, etc. And I just want to report to you that at our last SLATS meeting, it was nice for me to be able to witness such cooperation between each of these entities. They're just trying to make sure that no state or federal money is left unspent, so they're willing to work with another entity if they've got a project that is, better suited or is up more quickly. So I just want to assure everybody that they're doing a good job in taking care of us and thinking about what's best for us. And then my other good news is the Equal Opportunities Committee. We met last week, and I'm telling you, we've got some wonderful new citizens on that committee, and you just watch. There's going to be lots of things going on, especially with fair housing that I talked about today. So I'm excited about future actions, and I'll keep everybody informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Forbeck. Councilor Levy.
Thank you. I just want to thank the DPW department and any staff that had anything to do with cleaning up from the storm, and I know there's probably still doing that, but just to let, as we often say, we have one of the best staff, I'm say the best staff in the worldwide for any of our departments, very professional. You could call them, you see them working, they're out there with a smile, so a lot of times when we're at home hiding from the storm, or like some people looking out the window when it's like the sirens go off, they're out there making sure things are cleaned up and the streets are clear so people can get around. So I think hats off to them. And a lot of times when we go to bed at night, they're out there cleaning up the debris. They're out there cleaning up the snow. The police, the fire is out there. And like I say, we have a top-notch city staff here. And I'm very pleased to live in this community with such devoted and professional staff, but I want you to take it back to the guys that and young ladies that we greatly appreciate it, because it's something when I drove around Saturday and saw what the trees uprooted, and then drive around Sunday and most of it was cleaned up. So I just want to thank them for what they're doing, and so if you could just take that back to them, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Councilor Levy, we could I'll just give them a hand, because you're right. I have that in my report too. We have to give them their due, because they do a dangerous job and keep us safe. So let's give them a hand. Our Department of Public Works. Councilor Anderson.
You got one meeting left with me, and then you have to deal with me as often. But thank you, Madam President. Just really wanted to remind everybody that the election's tomorrow. I say this, I think I've said this all 6 years, you can't complain if you don't vote. So get out there and vote. There's a lot of things on the ballot this go around. A couple judgeship elections, city council, school board. You have a school district referendum, constitutional amendment, and an advisory referendum. So we have 9 polling places open in the city of Beloit. Polls open at 7 a.m. If you don't know where to vote, or you need some help figuring out what's on the ballot or how to register, you go to myvote.wi.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Day.
I think everything's been covered. Just sit back here and wait, but I do want to thank the DPW for everything they've done. Some of those trees are down in my neighborhood, and they're doing a good job of cleaning everything up. And then also the event that Sherry talked about, we were at in Nancy for the fire department. I think it was great that they acknowledged the promotions the way they did, and families were there and friends, and it was really a great event. So I was happy I got a chance to attend. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great to have you all there and representing the council, because that's certainly an important part to the city, our fire department. So thank you all. Councilor Terrell.
Thank you, Madam President. Definitely wanted to send a shout out to the DPW, Bill Frisbee, of course, for running the department. I came out, I work at Mare Elementary, of course. I seen nothing but city of Beloit trucks all over the place, cleaning up that debris out there. The Mare neighborhood, I want to say, was probably the hardest hit, and the surrounding areas, but yeah, it was trees just all over the place. It just looked crazy. It looked unrecognizable, but I'm just glad to see the DPW, your department out there just getting the job done. They doing a real good job. I stepped outside the building, saw it myself, so it's good to be a part of the city of Beloit and to be able to see that happening. And I also wanted to, speaking of Merrill Elementary, the shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, the Christian Elementary School, I want to send my condolences to the family and the families of those children and teachers. And I do want to say that no matter what you identify as, race, socioeconomic background, whatever the case may be, wrong is wrong. And I work at elementary school. I love my children. I love those kids to death. And I would, God forbid, something like that ever happen to my kids. But I do pray for the families down there. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Terrell. And I know you talked about the storm in the Merrill neighborhood, but there was also some power that was lost and things that happened on the far east side too.
Absolutely.
And there was no cable and the trees were down, so it was throughout the entire city of Beloit. So some were hit a lot worse than others, though.
Yeah,
So
of
you're
course,
right on
surrounding
target
it.
with that. Thank you. And I may reiterate some of the things that some of my fellow councilors said, but I'll be brief. Again, I want to thank everyone who's here this evening, everyone who gave input and comments, because we want our residents to be involved and continue to help us make Beloit better. But I just hope the public will keep in mind that there's lots of projects taking place throughout the city, and I know firsthand that our city staff are taking on as much as they can, even though they make it look really easy. We know that it takes work with that. So much appreciation to our team for your dedication and hard work, especially, again, our Department of Public Works for clearing the storm debris. You all rock. Also, I'm extremely proud that our Beloit Police Department hosted the 3-on-3 basketball tournament for our youth on Saturday. Just how wonderful is that? I want to encourage them to continue to build relationships with our community. That's so important. It takes all of us working together in order to make things better. I also attended the Plan Commission meeting. I'm skipping on to my activities right now. I attended the Plan Commission meeting, the workshop on parks improvement in regard to the ARPA funds, along with my fellow colleagues who are sitting here tonight, and the Visit Beloit Board meeting. I also went to the Miss Beloit Miss Outstanding Teen Scholarship Organization pageant, where I had the opportunity to meet with the contestants and the little princesses. Each of the young girls and women were beautiful. I was amazed at their confidence, intellect, and courage when they took to the stage. Congratulations to Miss Beloit 2023, Angelica Chapman-Sykes, and Miss Beloit Teen 2023, Triana Metzger. Also, thanks to Shanita Ray Davies, the sponsors, volunteers, and all who were involved in the event, including Miss Beloit 2022, Alyssa Harmon, and Miss Beloit Teen 2022, Kelsey Lutzow, in helping these young women to further their education and aspirations. And in addition to that, I participated in the Lead and Learn program, which was hosted by the Beloit Learning Academy. I joined other community leaders in talking with high school students about leadership. It was great to engage with our youth and encourage them to always be their best self. Thanks to the principal, Betsy Schroeder, and the Beloit Learning Academy teachers and staff for their efforts too. And finally, please remember to exercise your right to vote. The City of Beloit will operate 9 polling locations for the election tomorrow, Tuesday, April 4th. Polling places are listed on the City of Beloit website, or you can go to myvote.wi.gov. The polls will open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and don't forget your ID. Let your voice be your vote. This ends my council report for this evening. Next, we will go to item 11.
Item 11 is City Manager Presentation. 11A is City Manager Update.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give a brief update about the storm. In addition to all of the city staff that responded to all of the calls, I want to just recognize the teams from the utility crews from Alliant. Bill and I were emailing them Friday night about down wires, and I think just recognize them as being a 24/7 operation too is the right thing to do. Of course, I did see a fire truck there most of the time that we were there too. So a damage assessment of the storm has been completed. They use a really nifty app to do this. It's called Survey 123. So crews will go out and survey with their phones, and then the app that is used geolocates where the damage is. So it's a really effective way to get these sort of damage assessments done quickly. Announcements about the debris from the storm will be made tomorrow. Well, let me rephrase, probably Wednesday morning or tomorrow late evening. Bill, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason for that is because we're expecting yet another storm, and the severity of that storm is something that we just don't know yet. So we'll make an assessment after that. All power was restored to the city last night about 6:30. We held a meeting today as staff to debrief from what happened over the weekend, as well as prepare for what's going to happen tomorrow. And I will be declaring a state of emergency, which helps us potentially get funds from the state and or federal governments, and we'll send that forward tomorrow. It'll be something that'll come before council probably in a couple weeks, just so you all know. Are there questions or comments or things that we should be thinking about as we, work through this next storm?
And we will keep the public updated.
Yes, of course. And that's critical. We'll be making updates through our communications networks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that report this evening.
Item 12 is reports from boards and city officers. There is none. Item 13 is adjournment.
May I please have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Terrell. Is there seconded by Vice President Forbeck? Any questions or discussion? At this time, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes. We are now adjourned. This ends our council meeting for this evening.